Cupola, welcome to my YouTube channel. Turn your notifications on and make sure you subscribe. Now we're going to talk about the Champions League games yesterday of the three English teams. We're starting off with Chelsea. Now guys, listen, Chelsea bullied Barcelona. Now, this was a men against boys type performance. I want to highlight one player first before I go and speak about the star boy. Moise Caicedo. Now, guys, don't get me wrong. When he first came to Chelsea, I was the first to criticize him because, don't get me wrong, he was poor. He was rubbish. He was very, very bad. His passes, his positioning, he looked out of his depth. Coming from Brighton, he looked a shadow of the player that he was at Brighton. But Moise Caicedo last season, but then Moise Caicedo this season, he absolutely ate everything in that midfield. Not only on the ball, because we know he can play. We've seen him at Brighton. We've seen his progressive runs. We've seen his ball carrying. We've seen his press resistance. His ability to turn and play on a half turn. When we're looking at the combative side of a defensive midfielder, Moise Caicedo is the quintessential defensive holding midfielder. Protect your defense. You know, there was a role that they called the Makelele role. This guy is almost going to make us say the Caicedo role. But to be honest, he's so aggressive. But at the same time, he gets the ball a lot of the times. And it reminds me of N'Golo Kante. Because he was that type of player where you're like, yeah, he's coming. And when you know he's on your back, you can hear him breathing. Boom, swipes the ball off you. What a performance. And to do that against Barcelona, it was always going to be a key player. Now, guys, Declan Rice this weekend against Moise Caicedo. I mean, we've compared both of these guys a lot of the time. But today, and now we're going to see if Moise Caicedo can do the business. Let's wait and see. But to be honest, he's playing against De Jong. And De Jong and Pedri, granted Pedri wasn't there, but those two, when they went up to Newcastle and they played a similar mode of a midfield, very aggressive, very physically imposing, they destroyed them. But Moise Caicedo said, no, not today. Him and Reece James were on job. Now, quickly shifting on to Willian Esteval. Willian Esteval is an absolute superstar. When I say he is a superstar, he is a superstar. He's the kind of player that Barcelona should have right now. Now, don't get me wrong, they've got Lamine Yamal, but he's the player that in times past, in yesteryear, that Barcelona would have signed. He has this aura about him. He has this kind of, I'm the guy. Give me the ball and I'll make something happen. And boy, did he make something happen. Now, granted, it wasn't that tough playing against Barcelona's high line. However, his decision making in game, knowing when to keep the ball, knowing when to play 1-2, knowing when to take his man on. And like Thierry Henry said here,
let him cook, let him play.
Let him cook. You've got to let him cook because he's one of the few players in football that always wants to take his man on. It doesn't matter where he is on the pitch. Give me the ball. I'm going to make something happen. And Esteval is really stamping his authority. He's literally age mates with Lamine Yamal. They're both the same age. They're 18. He just does not have the PR. So people don't want to hype him up. People don't want to talk about him in the same vein. But you have to. When it comes to maturity in both of their games, you have to. And it might be a comparison for the future. Who knows? Of course, Lamine Yamal is a bit ahead right now. But Esteval, we cannot take away his performance. His goal, the dribbling, the close control, the stiff arm on Balde. He knows what he's doing. And then the right foot finish, which people are not talking about. The Aguero roof of the net near post finish, which I absolutely love. What a goal from Esteval. And I love the fact that he's always asking for the ball. He always wants the ball. He's never afraid to receive that ball. Doesn't matter who he is playing. And everybody was talking about Lamine Yamal. But Esteval said,
you're a long way from home. This is Brazil.
And this excites me. Why? Because Neymar's coming out of the game. So we need to see more Brazilians. We need to see guys that are willing to do joga bonito. That is what we miss from football, please. Lamine Yamal has brought it back. Now Esteval. What a performance from him. Another player I want to highlight is Delap. Delap scored against Barcelona, and he's had a lot of criticism. And to be honest, yes, again, a high line issue. Enzo Fernandez breaking that high line and then played it to Delap on a plate. But this will do a world of good for his confidence. But Chelsea were all over Barcelona today. I've already told you guys about the high line from hell, and FC Barcelona seem to keep losing the battles with the linesmen. They were winning that last season, and I think they were a tad bit aggressive. And yes, they've had injuries. Rafinha, who just came back, of course, we saw. Lewandowski is much older now, but the reality is it's not working. Ronald Araujo is rash. Any player with football IQ can get Ronald Araujo sent off because everything is physical force. Not everything is power. Sometimes use your brain, relax. You're even the captain of this team, but you're not setting an example. But Chelsea have proved when they do come against the big dogs and they do play with that physicality, they can match most teams in Europe. They can. But let's see on the weekend against Arsenal if they are that level that they think they are at. Now on to Manchester City. Pep Guardiola, are you losing your touch? I mean, Tinkerman, always changing the squad, dropping Haaland, thinking that this team can play without Haaland. They cannot play without Haaland. He brought Haaland on. He had a couple of chances, could have drew the game back. However, Man City have dropped levels. I mean, beating Liverpool, international break, they came back, lost to Newcastle, lost at home to Leverkusen 2-0. Grimaldo and Schick with a goal. And Grimaldo is a perfect wing back. I think he's superb. Plays for the Spanish national team. Very underrated. I believe he's got 8 goals this season. Was very key in Xabi Alonso's unbeaten Bundesliga season. And he was superb yesterday. I think overall Manchester City are a team that has dropped their levels. And I don't just think it's the manager as well. I think it's also the players. When you think about the David Silvas, the Kevin De Bruynes of this world that are not around anymore, and then you think of the replacements, they're not yet at that level. But Man City are not a team that can afford to do what they used to do, which is drop their first team and then play their B team, which was equally as good. They can't do that. They can't drop Doku. They can't drop Haaland and then win, especially in Europe. This is going to send shockwaves to say that Man City are not the force they once were. And in recent seasons, they probably haven't been in Europe, but this wasn't good. Let's also talk about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, 36 years of age. This season, 5 Champions League games, 6 GNA, 3 goals, 3 assists. 2 yesterday against Newcastle. Now, the first one, what a finish. Around the goalkeeper. And listen, he's got the technique to score. But the second one, let's highlight that. That run across the near post. Textbook centre-forward play by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 36 years of age. And people don't talk about him enough. He sniffs chances out. He sniffs it. Those are the kind of players that in your squad you can always have, because they will always score you goals. And Marseille this season have been doing really well. Again, Mason Greenwood yesterday was a threat all game round. He provided Aubameyang with a couple of chances that he probably should have scored as well. But I think Newcastle, Harvey Barnes obviously scoring, but it's going to be tough for Newcastle in Europe because they will come across teams that just have better quality, especially in the final third. Newcastle do rely a lot on their physicality, but again, a team like Marseille, very technical, very tactically astute. They know what to do. De Zerbi is their manager, of course, but we'll have to wait and see. Apart from that, like I said, it's been a brilliant night of Champions League football. Cupola, make sure you comment, like, subscribe, turn your notifications on. I'll see you soon.